Welcome to Corporate Hour, an IR 4.0 corporate media house. And today we have with us Mr. Hong Wai. He's a chemical engineer and also an award-winning author, harnessing science, technology, and engineering in his background. And also he's a Malaysia Book of World Record holder with us. And today we are going to discuss about the palm oil industry and the sustainable challenges in the coming times and challenges that we are going to face in the palm oil industry. So we would like to address some questions to you, Mr. Hong, and we are very happy to welcome you on board.
Thank you so much. My pleasure as well. Thanks for inviting me right to this session. Yeah, I hope I can share some insight with you all right. Yeah, in today's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So actually, I wanted to discuss about the palm oil market. Actually, it's a 65.8 billion industry right now, and expected to grow even $100 billion in the coming times by 2032. So as a chemical engineer in the palm oil industry, how do you actually perceive the current challenges related to deforestation, greenhouse emissions, and other challenges associated with this industry?
Right. Thank you so much for the first question, right? This is indeed important. As a chartered chemical engineer, right, work within the palm oil industry, I do acknowledge that the challenges related to the deforestation as well as the greenhouse gas emission, right, are significant concern that demand our attention, right? First thing first, deforestation poses a threat, right, to biodiversity and ecological balance. Therefore, it is crucial for the industry to continue embracing sustainable practices, right? And follow the policy like NDPE, no deforestation, no pit, and no exploitation, NDPE, right? In order to safeguard valuable ecosystem. I believe the collaboration among the stakeholders, including governments, NGOs, of course, palm oil company, right, are essential to promote responsible land use and conservation. On the other hand, greenhouse gas emission from the palm oil production contribute to the climate change, right? When we say greenhouse gas emission, mainly are those methane. To address this, I believe the industry players are best practices, right, in waste management, energy efficiency, and emission reduction. They could implement innovative technologies such as biogas capture, right, from the palm oil effluent, which can help to minimize the carbon footprint. I think I should share with you also, right, the recent operationalization of 2 biogas plants in Malaysia in the state of Terengganu, supplying 2 megawatt of power directly to the national grid, right? Amplify the industry progress towards embracing a circular economic model. So yeah, that's some of my reflection to the question that you posed earlier.
That actually brings me to the next question regarding the environmental impacts. Can you actually share some specific sustainability initiative or strategies like your company is working upon? How does you actually approach the concept of circular economy in the path of palm oil production? Or are there any innovative practices that we're going to see that is going to minimize the waste and optimize resource utilization on this?
Right. Thanks again. As a chartered engineer, right, with experience in the palm oil industry, of course, I'm glad to share some insight on this matter. I think it's the fact that the palm oil industry, right, has indeed faced criticism due to the environmental impact, right? There's no doubt about that. To address those concerns, right, many palm oil companies, in fact, right, have already undertaken various sustainability initiatives. As I mentioned earlier, right, those efforts including the NTPE policy, which are designed to protect the ecosystem and biodiversity. In addition to that, right, I need to highlight that the palm, in fact, has the most sustainable standards, right, compared to other oilseed crop. The first sustainability industry standard introduced back in 2004, right, was the Roundtable on Sustainable Palm Oil. We call it RSPO. This was followed by the Indonesian Sustainable Palm Oil in 2011 and Malaysian sustainable palm oil in 2013. This demonstrates that Indonesia and Malaysia, right, being the world's largest palm oil producer, are taking necessary steps to improve the sustainability performance of the industry. Moreover, circular economy principles are gaining traction, right, within the industry as well. And innovative strategies are being explored to minimize the waste and to optimize the resource utilization. For example, right, we are talking about upgrading the palm kernel cake, a byproduct of palm kernel oil processing, into animal feed, right? So that can add value to the supply chain and reduce waste. We're also talking about converting palm biomass into bio-based sugar or bioethanol, right? That showcases the industry commitment to leveraging renewable resources and reduce the carbon footprint. Additionally, like what I mentioned earlier, right? Harnessing the biogas from palm oil effluent for green energy, or so-called the renewable energy generation, is another remarkable example of circular economic practices. This not only reduce the greenhouse gas emission, but also create a valuable resources stream, right, that contribute to a sustainable energy production. I think all in all, that's essential for the stakeholder to collaborate and take collective responsibility in fostering sustainability within the palm oil industry. As a chartered engineer, I remain committed, right, to promoting environmental conscious practices and supporting initiatives that contribute to a greener and more sustainable palm oil industry.
As you mentioned about the value chain proposition of palm oil, can you actually elaborate on some of the key aspects that makes palm oil more sustainable compared to other oil crops like soyabean, rapeseed, and sunflower, and many others?
Good question. I think first thing first, right? Palm oil as a perennial crop, right, has many key aspects, make it more sustainable as compared to other oilseed crop, right? As we know, soybean oil, rapeseed, sunflower, you mentioned earlier, right? First thing first, palm oil is a highly efficient, right, in terms of the oil yield per hectare. It requires the by far less land compared to other oil crop, right, to produce the same amount of oil, thereby helping to preserve a forest, right, and reduce the land use change emission. And I think very important to point out that the palm oil plantation, right, basically can act as a carbon sinks, sequestering the substantial amount of carbon dioxide, especially in the mature plantation. This makes the palm oil plantation, right, valuable in offsetting the carbon emission and contributing to fight against the climate change. Of course, if you go back to the literature review, right, there are few references or sources saying different figure, right, about the carbon sequestering, right, of this palm oil plantation. But to me, average carbon sequestration rate of palm oil, right, is estimated to be 4.5 ton carbon per hectare per year, which to me is quite significant. And being a perennial crop, right, so we do need to chop down the oil palm tree and plant it every year. Typically, oil palm can stay there, right, for actually more than 30 or 40 years. But just that for economic perspective, right, normally oil palm is being chopped down for replanting every 20 or 25 years, right, as compared to other oil crop, right, whereby you need to cut down, chop down, right, and then replant it every year. So I think these are the few points that make oil palm stand out as compared to other oilseed crop.
Really great to know these kind of insights, right? So there are new sustainable palm oil practices that has been made, and actually that is kind of becoming a new challenge to adopt new practices towards net zero emissions and towards the circular economy also. So how do you like actually collaborate with small stakeholders, local communities, and other capable fosters who can practice this sector altogether and make it more innovative? So how are you including all of them in the part of your circular economy plans?
Right. I think very important is actually to involve the all the stakeholders, right, along this certification. I need to point out that in fact, I have the privilege, right, of serving as a working group member to review the Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil Standard, right, during the year of 2019 to 2022, right. During this role, actually, I actively participate in the development, preparation, and also review of the national standard for sustainable palm oil production. To me, very important is to get all the stakeholders involved in the dialogue, create the awareness, right? As in why sustainable development, right, is important, right? Not only to the industry, not only to the nation, but also to the society as a whole, right? And very often we need to hear their voice as well, right? Especially when we talk about the land use change, right? When we come to those local community, right? The smallholder of which they own their land. So in this perspective, I also like to throw a question, right? As in the recently EU initiated the zero deforestation, right? I think this law is actually valid for those big company or organization, right? There is no doubt, right? They have to adhere to the zero deforestation, right? After the cut-off date. But I think everyone also need to take note about the role of the smallholder or local community over here, especially they are the landowner, right? They are the landowner, and then they have the right to do everything on their land, right? So if we blanket said that we should have a zero deforestation, that basically is unfair for the smallholder or local community, right? And notably, no poverty is actually one of the critical goals, isn't it, in the UN SDG, right? And in fact, those local community and the smallholder rely on the palm oil, right, to feed their family, right, lift them out from the poverty. So is that fair to actually ignore them, right, in the sustainability equation?
You see, technological advancements are playing a big role in the kind of cultivation that we expect. So, have you seen any new technologies or innovations that are promising to this industry and we can also adapt in the near future?
Right. Another good question, right? Whenever I talk about palm oil industry, right, many people say, hey, palm oil has been there for actually 100 years, right? Commercial oil palm planting more than 100 years. So people always say that they can't see any new technology, right, within the palm oil industry. So to me, right, by carefully managing the input and minimizing the environmental impact, technologies or engineers, right, could help to improve the productivity while maintaining the environmental sustainability. Perhaps I can give few examples here, right? Technology plays a crucial role in advancing sustainable palm oil production. Precision agriculture technology, right, enable data-driven decision-making, allowing for targeted application of fertilizer and pesticides, and therefore reducing waste and environmental impact. Remote sensing, drones, Internet of Things, right? We call it IoT devices, offer valuable insight into the crop health, soil condition, and water usage. All this basically can facilitate more precise and resource efficient practices. Innovative technology also shown a promising result in sustainable palm oil production, as I mentioned earlier, right? For instance, the integrated pest management system, right, use beneficial insects and natural predator, right, to control pests, reducing the reliance on chemical pesticides. Biotechnology and genetic engineering also hold potential in developing a high yield palm, right, variety with improved resistance to the disease and pests, right. Meanwhile, biotechnology is also an important avenue to increase the palm oil extraction efficiency, right, in the palm oil mill. Enzyme and biocatalysts can be employed to break down the cell wall and enhance the oil extraction from palm fruit. By using biotechnology, right, then basically the industry can achieve higher oil recovery rates, reducing the waste and improve overall palm oil production. In addition to the palm biotechnology, I believe digitalization, right, plays a significant role in optimizing palm oil processing. Advanced data analytics and automation enable real-time monitoring of processes, right, allowing a precise control of factors such as temperature, pressure, and processing times. So digital platform can integrate data from various stages, right, of the palm oil production processes, providing valuable insight to improve the efficiency and also to reduce the resource consumption. So overall, I think engineer and technologists, right, have a critical role to play in advancing the sustainable palm oil production, balancing the increased global demand with responsible environmental stewardship. So that's my 2 cents.
Definitely. And you see, consumers play a key role in the industry, right? So consumer awareness and demand for these kind of products are growing rapidly. So how, as a company, as an entity, your company is facing this consumer preference changes, and what role do you believe that will help in transitioning to more sustainable products, more consumer-friendly choice-based products?
This is another good question, right? We talk about the consumer perception. As a professional within the palm oil industry, I observe the company, right, are actively responding to the changing consumer preference for sustainable product, right? Most, if not all, consumers are now demanding for a more sustainable product, right? To address these demands, palm companies are basically increasing, adopting sustainable practices throughout the entire palm oil value chain, from the oil palm plantation to palm oil mill, later on to the downstream. One of the key ways palm oil companies are meeting consumer expectations is by obtaining certification, right, such as the RSPO and MSPO, which demonstrate their commitment to sustainability and responsible production. This certification basically assures consumers that the palm oil used in the product meets the environmental and social standards. Furthermore, palm oil companies are embracing transparency and traceability initiative to provide consumers with clear information about the origin and sustainability of their product. By sharing all this information about their sourcing practices, environmental impact, and community engagement, right? Companies can build trust and credibility with the customer and consumer, right? Who prioritize the sustainability. What I believe is actually engaging with consumer and educating them about the importance of sustainable palm oil is an important wider aspect, right? Companies should continue investing in awareness campaign, right? And communication effort to raise the awareness, right, among the consumer about the significance of making sustainable choice and supporting responsible palm oil practices, right? We shouldn't boycott palm oil blanketly. The role of consumer in fast tracking the transition of sustainable palm oil production is important, right? I think innovation, right, basically can help the palm oil industry, right, foster more sustainable practices. So in conclusion, I think consumer awareness and demand for sustainable products are playing an important role, right? Through their preferences, consumer encourage palm oil company to embrace sustainability, prioritize environmental conservation, and contribute to a more responsible and sustainable future for the industry. Yeah, that's my 2 cents. Thank you so much.
Really a great insight. Just coming to the last point, what advice would you like to give to the coming aspirants of the industry? And how do you look towards the future of this industry in the next 5 to 10 years?
That's a very good question, right? As a professional long enough in the industry, right? At least over 10 years, right? My personal aspiration for the future revolve around driving transformation, right? Transformative change towards greater sustainability and the circular economy practices, right? I can envision a palm oil industry that not only meets the world growing demand, right, for the essential commodity, but also in a way that is doing in a way that is environmentally responsible, socially inclusive, and economically beneficial, right? If I can imagine, right, in the next 5 to 10 years, I hope to see the industry making significant strides in reducing the carbon footprint or environmental footprint, right? This includes further adoption of sustainable land use practices, right? Reforestation effort, not deforestation, but reforestation effort, right? And intensified measure to combat deforestation and greenhouse gas emission. I believe palm oil companies should continue increasing leveraging technology and innovation to optimize agriculture practices, as I mentioned earlier, precision farming for fertilization, advanced pest control technology, right? Ensure high yield while minimizing the environmental impact. Palm oil industry must also undergo a transformation in processing, to increase the overall process efficiency. Embracing modern technologies such as biotechnology, right? Internet of Things, IoT, automation, and data analytics, right, can significantly optimize the palm oil processing operation, leading to reduced waste, energy conservation, and enhanced product quality. Last but not least, I think circular economy principle, right, should become, right, the industry DNA, promoting resource efficiency and waste reduction throughout the entire value chain. Palm oil company must continue exploring a way to minimize the resources, the waste, right, and maximize the utilization of the byproduct, such as the upgrading the palm oil biomass to become animal feed, converting the palm oil biomass to become the bioethanol, right, and so on. So I think in order to do that, right, it's very important to work very closely with all the stakeholders involved, right, along the palm oil value chain. By working closely with the smallholder, local community, NGO, very important also government body, right? I believe we can collectively advance the sustainability goal and create a more inclusive and equitable industry.
Thank you so much for answering all the questions, Mr. Hong. And it was a really insightful interview with you. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for your time, Tanya. Thanks again for the opportunity given to me to share my insight. Thank you.